What's up, everybody? Kris Gethin here at Boise Iron Gym on this beautiful Wednesday morning. I woke up early, probably around 4:30, had a massive breakfast, a couple of scoops of Pride Foods cream of rice. I had my unmatched grass-fed whey protein. I had a cup of blueberries, and I had a scoop of immuno IgG, which is good for your gut integrity and your immune system. And then I followed that up with a sauna, ice bath, and red light therapy. All right. I also had a lot of antioxidants like carbon C60, my Vital C, hydrogen-rich water, GD-Aid, which is my blood glucose disposal agent to help put those carbohydrates into the muscle to be utilized for this leg day today. So I put out on my Instagram what body part that you would like me to train. I gave you my options. What's the matter, buddy? What's up? What are you crying at? I said arms, shoulders, legs. The vast majority said legs, so we're hitting legs today. And now what I'll do is mix together my pre-workout. So I'll have my Dissident, I'll have my BH2K. So BH2K is my stim pre-workout. Doesn't have caffeine because I'm not a huge caffeine fan because it does cause a diuretic effect. It can cause a little bit of anxious energy. It can raise the cortisol levels a little too much. And I'm spiking my cortisol levels while I'm in here anyway. I don't need to add to that. And then I stack that with my non-stim, which is Dissident. Now they have a completely different ingredient profile. However, some of them work in synergy with each other. So for instance, BH2K has paraxanthine. Recent studies have shown that it works synergistically with peak ATP, and that is in the Dissident. So they work very, very well together. So that's why I really like to stack those. You can do half a scoop of each, but I just go the full hog, a scoop. And then pretty much I'll fill up my shaker bottle and then fill it again to about halfway. So I have about 1.5. I like to have a lot of fluid during my leg workout because I know I'm gonna sweat a lot. I'm gonna perspire a lot. We are gonna start off on some compound movements to begin with, squatting and pressing movements that aren't gonna put any pressure on your lower back. So let's hit it. So I'll do a couple of warm-up sets on here, 2 or 3 warm-up sets. Sometimes I'll get on the treadmill or the Stairmaster or elliptical to warm up for 5 to 10 minutes. Other days I wake up and I'm like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty warm. The sauna and ice bath definitely helps with the blood flow, so I'm going to be utilizing each exercise as my warm-up. It's getting serious when the straps have to go on, isn't it? So one thing that I like to do especially when I'm starting with compounds, if I'm pre-fatiguing, maybe not so much, like on leg extensions, but if I'm starting on compounds, I like to either strap or wrap my knees. Same with elbows. You want to protect them because obviously you may not feel the strain now, but over years and years of wear and tear, you may start feeling it. And the thing is, like I'm 50 now, in 2 months' time, I have to keep thinking about, well, what are my knees going to feel like when I'm 60, when I'm 70, etc. So always make the decision now for your future, much like you eat. You look at a meal, it's either going to heal your future or harm your future. That's how you should consider a lot of aspects, and a lot of people usually miss that when it comes to working out. I hit the spot. So the one thing that I really like about the belt squat in particular is that it doesn't put any strain on your lower back. It doesn't put much strain on your knees either. It really isolates the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, as opposed to any assisting muscles such as your lower back. And I've got a severe curvature of my spine anyway, torn my trap, torn my lat. So this is much better for my structure as well. Unfortunately, not all gyms have them, but if yours does, give it a shot. Whew. Oh, motherfucker, let's go. Oh man, it's very important to have a good cardiovascular engine so you're able to keep up the intensity during workouts, especially ones that require so much oxygen like legs. As you can tell, I'm having a little bit of a struggle trying to talk here. But when you're hitting almost half your body, that's requiring a lot of oxygen, you are going to be out of breath, especially if you're doing higher repetitions, like past 12 repetitions. So you don't want to be resting for like 5-6 minutes between sets, because part of the growth and the trauma is going to come from the intensity. So you want to try to recover as quick as you humanly can within a couple of minutes, replenish your ATP levels, psychologically get back into the set, and then hit it all over again. Sometimes I like to stretch in between my sets, so I could feel it's a little bit tight on my adductors here, so I'm going to stretch them out a little. Alright, that'll do for that. We'll go on to another compound now. We'll make the next one a unilateral. So we did bilateral belt squats here. I'll go into some split squats now. Focus on one leg at a time. So when I'm doing this exercise, I've got my legs stretched out quite a bit in front of me to target a little bit more the glutes and the hamstrings. If I have that bench towards me, so they're closer together, my foot is closer together to the rear leg, and that's going to isolate and target a little bit more of my quads. You are going to get crossover from those antagonistic muscle groups, but you can specify one over the other, especially if one is a weakness. So on all these movements, you'll notice I don't lock out. I'm trying to keep the muscles engaged. If I lock out, the muscles disengage. The only time I would have a gentle lockout is if I do a rest pause, meaning I cannot do any more repetitions. I'll rest at the top of the movement for a second or two, then push out another, and I may repeat that. Here I'm not doing that. I try to get as much of a stretch that I possibly can for my structure without putting any strain on any joints or lower back. But I always try to get a good stretch, but never lock out. Yeah. Leg press next. Over yonder. On this particular leg press, what I'll do, each week I'll decide whether I'm going to do hack squats if it's a quad dominant day, or I'll do this leg press, because I can replicate and mimic a very similar movement to the hack squat on this press by having my feet lower down the plate and having my feet a little bit closer together. I can't go as heavy doing that because I'm not getting assistance from my adductors, my hamstrings, my glutes. It's more of a quad isolation movement. That's how I feel it on here. If you have your feet a little bit closer, you're going to work a little bit more of your abductors. So that will give you a little bit more of the flare and the separation between your quads and your hamstrings. And having your feet down lower on the platform will target your quads a little bit more. So it's a great way to isolate. But in saying that, I am going to go a little heavier. That was heavy. Heavy for me anyway. So we've got a superset now, meaning 2 exercises back to back with no rest. What I'm gonna do is start off with hitting the gastrocnemius, this muscle here, because earlier in the week I hit the sartorius, which was the seated calf, so I like to sometimes separate them. So we're gonna do calf press first, then I've got the sissy squat set up over here, and we're gonna move directly onto that. It'll be like a slow, controlled movement, get a contraction at the top. I'll hold a bit of resistance to really target the quads here as well. Upper portion of the quads, I really feel that exercise on, so let's get straight into it. No time like the present, someone's got to do it, innit? Felt that. So this is definitely more of a shaping movement. I wouldn't call it a building movement. So it's good to do at the end when you're feeling a little bit weaker and you're focusing on shaping, contraction, stretching on this. On the calf press, what you'll notice is that I'll use a little bit more of an explosive nature on the concentric part of the exercise. On the eccentric or the negative, I go down slow, controlled, and I'll pause at the top. So many people, I've said this many times before, put way too much weight on the calf press and a seated press, and they bounce it. Your Achilles tendon is the strongest tendon in the body. So it's very easy for that to take over, preventing a muscle strain. You don't want to work your Achilles tendon. You want to prevent that from engaging and engage your muscle instead. Oh dear. Now we've done our superset, we'll finish off with some walking lunges. So it's kind of like a drop set, so I will start off with weight. If I start off with this at the beginning of the workout, then I'll use much heavier weight, and I won't generally drop down. I'm just trying to work my fast twitch muscle fibers. But now towards the end of the workout, I'm going to be a little bit weaker, I'm going to be a bit more fatigued, I'm going to do lighter, hold lighter weight, and I'm going to fail earlier. So in knowing that, I'm like, well, I might as well just target my slow twitch muscle fibers as well. So I'll drop the weight when I feel like I can't do anymore, and then continue to go. So it's like a drop set really, just to get some blood in there, and then shuttle better blood flow when I have my post-workout grass-fed isolate and my creatine. It helps shuttle those nutrients to the localized area when you've got a good blood flow. That's why it is good to kind of cool down or do post-workout cardio after you've had your shake.
Are you packing?
All right, we are wrapped up. So the one thing that I've been saying for years, and if you've been following me for years, you'll know this is always a case. Straight after my workout is when I'll have my isolate. Isolate being the fastest digesting protein. Those protein fractions get into your bloodstream so much more efficiently. And of course, you want to try to go for one that is grass-fed, like unmatched here, and naturally sweetened with digestive enzymes, and you want it to be obviously antibiotic free. You want to have less antibiotics. You don't want the inflammatory response from crappy products that are artificially sweetened, that have possibly higher omega-6 values. And then I'll add creatine. So I always bookend before and after my workouts creatine. So I'm using the cregatine here, which will pass the blood-brain barrier more efficiently, and the uptake and efficiency and bioavailability is much more efficacious and gets straight into your system. So you'll get some people that are non-responders to creatine, very unlikely with cregatine. And we are the only company in the US using this very novel ingredient, and it's been around since like 1955, would you believe it? So with a leg workout, of course, you always have to bring your balls to the game. It's a tough day, but that's why it's my favorite day, because it challenges you. The reason why I got into bodybuilding is not because I love bodybuilding, it's because I love weight training, and it's very therapeutic. The harder you push yourself in here, more of a transcendence effect it'll have in every other aspect of your life. So for instance, let's say it's a Sunday, you don't want to work, but because you've created discipline in structure within here, you're much more likely to go, well, you know what? I'm gonna suffer. I gotta do what I gotta do, not what I always want to do. You know what I mean? Do you think that we all wanna get out that last 1 or 2 repetitions that's gonna make all the gains? No, it's a challenge, but that challenge should be taken head first. Don't avoid it. You need to be trained into failure. This is the only place that we can fail in order to succeed, you know? So, cheers to that. Until next time, if you do like this video, if you want more like this, like, comment, and subscribe.